It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
Six the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It's a Thursday or Friday Eve, if you will, and I swear I can see the weekend from here.
Today's show is sponsored by elephant-flavored toothpaste, bringing big taste to your small brush.
And I just kind of wonder which end of the elephant are we talking about here?
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move.
Okay, so this first story here, every so often I like to start your mornings with something kind of different and good, and I'm glad Harriet Hageman, our congresswoman, thought of this. I have to go ahead and drop her a note and give her credit, because I'm really impressed. Harriet Hageman proposed a Boulder, Colorado fossil fuel-free environment. Now, I do have to tell her to please quit calling it a fossil fuel. If you want to call it hydrocarbons, fine, or organic fuels, because that's what they would be here on Earth, then that's fine too. But there's no such thing as a fossil fuel. But okay, here's the story. U.S. Representative Harriet Hageman on Tuesday touted the Republican efforts to thwart campaigns to reduce organic fuel usage, proposed that Boulder, Colorado be stripped of its hydrocarbon infrastructure in a pilot program to test wind and solar power. Now, here it says to test renewables, but they're not renewables. This is where I completely refuse to get involved in the approved language, because it isn't true. Hageman made her comments at Jackson Town Hall, where she dutifully appeared as promised when running for office. She touted GOP fights against Biden administration, hailed her first successful bill, expanding victims' rights, and railed against bureaucrats, which I'm so glad that she does, but okay. In deep support for Wyoming coal, oil, and gas industries, the story says, she proposed a pilot project that would strip Boulder, Colorado, a progressive enclave, of all organic fuel infrastructure to be replaced by windmills and solar panels only. This is what they say they want to do, so let's do it. Let's make them live that way. Here's quoting Harriet, and this is from Wildfire. She said, the pilot project is, you take out all of the gas stations. She was talking to a crowd of about 70 people in Teton County. We take away all of their internal combustion engine cars. We take away all of their highways and streets, because all of that is oil and gas produced. She drew applause and laughter. Marvelous, one audience member exclaimed. They've been a no-grow city for decades, she said, so they have a lot of open space around them. We will fill those spaces with wind and solar panels, and we'll see if they can actually run a city 100,000 people with no organic fuels whatsoever. We'll see if they can get that off the ground, she said. Although Hageman earned chuckles and applause from her largely partisan group in Jackson, her suggestion rankled Boulder City Councilman Mark Wallace. She, quote, one of the things that makes people so leery of politics and politicians is when people make ridiculous suggestions like that. Hold it right there. I don't think she's making a ridiculous suggestion. There are those people who want to keep it all in the ground. That's what they say. We're just going by what they're demanding and what they're trying to accomplish. But anyway, he says, Nobody on the Boulder City Council suggested we can do without fossil fuels. That's the point. We make an effort to do better, to recognize that climate change is real and we need to do things about it. See, that's nonsense. But okay. If she doesn't understand the actual serious nature of the threats posed by climate change, no, I would say she doesn't, because it's a natural thing and it's not being caused by human beings using coal, gas, and oil. But okay. He pointed out the Marshall Fire, which ignited in the winter of 2021 and destroyed 1,000 Boulder homes, as evidence. Further fires, and so what he wants to do is say, see that fire that erupted over there, that was climate change. Okay, this is a guy who, and also Wildfire here, completely misses the point of what Harriet was trying to do. But I think I get it, and I think you get it too. These are people who have said that they want to keep it all in the ground. All coal, gas, and oil. Keep it all in the ground. And they want to get rid of all electricity produced by natural gas and oil and coal. This is what they say they want to do. Okay. They want to get rid of the internal combustion engine, they say. Fine. Tell you what, we will do what you said. Let's see you do it. But just on a micro scale, we'll take a city of 100,000 people and give them everything that they have demanded. And let's see how they can live. Let's see how they do it. And you and I both know the answer is they won't do it. What's funny to me is the mayor of Boulder, Colorado, when asked about this, the mayor is acting like, well, we're not saying that. We're not saying we got to get rid of all of this stuff. Yes, you did, actually. You did say that. And there's people on your side of the argument who have been pushing to get rid of all coal, gas, and oil. You have said that. But when we say, well, what if we actually make you live that way? Well, no, not really. I mean, come on. So you see the level of hypocrisy there. They talk a great game until we actually make them do it. And these are the same people. Well, I played you quotes from the Biden administration and from Vice President Harris, too, and other people like that who, again, want to get us all on wind and solar power and get rid of everything else. I've played you the quotes. So what if, in fact, let me take something out. We haven't learned a lot of lessons here, but let's go to a place like New York State. Some time ago, New York State started to play with the idea of enterprise zones. Now, in an enterprise zone, they would take a certain area and they would reduce regulations and taxes and make it as free market capitalist as possible. And businesses would be allowed to move there to operate in these free market enterprise zones. And what was found was every time they did that, the economy in those zones just took off. Things were just great. So New York State tried to run an experiment with the entire state. If you would like to move your business to New York State, you can move anywhere in the state, and for the first 10 years, act like you're in an enterprise zone. They'll keep regulations and taxes low. Now, I don't know what's supposed to happen after those 10 years. But my thought is, if you have acknowledged and understand that these enterprise zones cause an economic boom, then why not do it everywhere all the time? If you acknowledge and understand, getting back to wind and solar power, that trying to run a city of 100,000 people 100% on wind and solar and no internal combustion engine cars and et cetera, you realize that is a completely ridiculous idea, then why are you demanding it for the rest of the country? So I think the mayor, as well as Wildfire, completely misunderstand what Harriet was saying. She made a great point.
Hello everybody. We are going to die in about 30.1 seconds, so brace for impact. Bye. Mwahahaha. You're listening to the radio.
It's Wake Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio. Join the show at 888-97-WOODS.
To help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Time 6:23, so I'm going to answer a couple of the notes I got here over the Wake Up Wyoming now. If you're just joining me, our Congresswoman Harriet Hageman was speaking, and she made a good point. Let's take Boulder, Colorado, she said, and we're just going to go by what they said. And we're going to get rid of all coal, gas, and oil, and they can only have wind and solar, no internal combustion engine cars, which means they'll have to take roads away, too, because that's made with a lot of oil. Of course, the people of Boulder, the mayors, go, well, we never said that. Yes, you did. And so we're just going to ask you to live that way. Live the way you demand. And they're already backpedaling on us. So, Reefer and Carpenter, Wyoming, Harriet Hageman has a point. You know, the old-timers in my era used to call black road top oil roads. I think we should bring that back. Well, yeah, and there's a lot of things that here's what I'd love to do. Let's make stickers that tell people made with petroleum. And let's stick those stickers on everything that's made with petroleum. Now, you might look at some things and, well, that's not. Like if you picked up a metal fork. Well, it's not made with petroleum. Try to make it without petroleum. I mean, name something that's not made with petroleum products. There's some things out there, but not much. Just to let people know this is all made with petroleum or natural gases or oil or something like that. Jim and Casper, it's the same hypocrisy as sanctuary cities. The same hypocrisy as the dumb commie social party in America. The same hypocrisy of politicians like Bernie and the commie Sanders and so on. Yeah, it is, yeah. Well, and think about it. Bernie Sanders is worth a few $1 million, and he made that money off of doing capitalist things. If he really thought that Cuba or the Soviet Union were so great, then how come he didn't move there? How come he chose to live in a capitalist system? Well, because he was making so much money off of it. So, yeah, there's loads of hypocrisy in these people. They demand that everybody else live this way. One of the reasons why I call it the cult of climate change, and the leaders at the top of the cult don't have to live the way they demand the rest of us live. Obama, who said at some point, I think you've made enough money, has he made enough money yet? He and Michelle have several big mansions, one of them right on the ocean, where climate change was supposed to have raised those oceans and just swallowed up that home a long time ago. Flies around in corporate jets, limousines, stuff like that, you know. Get massive hypocrisy here. Once again, demand of those people. Why don't you go live the way you're demanding everybody else live? Well, remember the fit that John Kerry threw? Some reporter actually asked a real question of him about him flying all over the world in these big jets. And first he denied, I don't do that. Well, I don't own any corporate jets. Your wife does, and you use them. Also, you fly around in government jets all the time. Well, you don't understand. You got to understand what I'm doing. My job here, I have to do that. Yeah, really? Again, massive hypocrisy from all of them. They'll demand that we live this way, but don't you dare ask that they live this way. Oh, they'll just get mad as hell. And I think it's one of the best ways to defeat all of this is to point out to everybody that with the massive hypocrisy of these people, like, again, let's go to the mayor of Boulder, Colorado, after what Harriet Hageman said. Watch him backpedal. Well, we didn't say that. We don't really, we're not saying that all wind and solar. Are you kidding me? No internal combustion engines. I mean, come on. It says no roads made out of pavement with oil. We never said, yes, you did say that. Let's make them live that way. But I love the idea of experimenting with this idea. Let's just go ahead and take, like Harriet said, let's take one city. We'll make a city of about 100,000 people. Of those people who really do want to live what they think is a totally green lifestyle that's good for the planet. We'll put them in there of their own free will. Let's ask for volunteers. How many volunteers do you think we're going to get? Let's go ask for the volunteers. And we'll put them in the city. Now, the next thing is we don't subsidize it. Nothing gets subsidized. Okay, you actually have to make it. Because as you know, wind and solar and all this other garbage doesn't exist without subsidies. So you're going to have to make it on your own with what you've demanded that everybody else do. And all your food needs to be organic, too. Let's take a look at all of the things. You guys got to eat bugs. No meat. Or you're going to be vegans, maybe. Whatever the case is. We're going to demand that you live this way. And we'll just sit back and watch what happens. And if it doesn't work, you lose. And by lose, I mean the whole argument. You've lost the whole argument, and just after that, just shut up. How long do you think that'll last? I would say that it's not even going to last a year. But I also don't think we'll get many people to volunteer either. Morning, Chet. Chet said they used to dump used dirt and oil on roads around here to keep the dust settled and fill a few holes. Coming up on some local news, after a local news update on the weather forecast, and you and I get back into it. 888-97-WOODS, the phone number. That's 888-97-WOOD. As all you can do what these folks are doing, text me by using the Wake Up Wyoming app. Free to download at your app store. And just hit the chat option and send me notes while I'm in the air, and I'll answer you both on the air and off. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Sure, this show is sustainable. We sequester all gas emissions to one room. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods, live on AM 1030 and FM 95.1, weekdays at 6.
6:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. All right, I was going to go on to something else, but I'm getting more comments on this. So let me just wrap it up real quick for those people who just joined me. Our Congresswoman Harriet Hageman has a challenge for Boulder, Colorado, just to make them live the way they've demanded that the rest of the world live. She wants a Boulder to get rid of anything that has to do with oil, gas, and coal, which means they're not going to have paved roads, no internal combustion engines. They're going to have to do everything by wind and solar power. City of 100,000 people, let's see how long they last. And, of course, they won't last very long at all. You couldn't even get volunteers for that. And right away, the mayor of Boulder starts to backpedal. Well, she doesn't really understand what we mean by fighting climate change. No, we heard what you said, Boulder. We heard what you said. Kenny in Kremling, am I saying that right? And you'll have to let me know where that is. They couldn't even make wind and solar generators without organic fuels. And you're absolutely right. I've talked about that before. In fact, solar panels, I've written a couple of articles about this, but I love talking about it on the air. If you want to make a solar panel, part of what goes into making a solar panel is petroleum and coal. Without petroleum and coal, you can't make solar panels. And so for those people who say, keep it all in the ground, well, then you're not going to have your solar panels. Then we take a look at wind turbines, and it's the same thing. You have to use petroleum to make wind turbines. You can't not. They don't seem to understand that. Let's say, Paul and Casper. Al Gore must live in a tent, ride a bike, and give all the money he's made towards fighting climate change. Well, let's see now. If he lives in a tent, none of the materials for the tent can be created by using any coal, gas, or oil. And his bike is going to have wooden wheels that he carved by hand, not rubber wheels, which would be petroleum, right? But I've often said that, yeah, Al Gore is one of the biggest hypocrites with multiple mansions that consume massive amounts of energy. He also rides around in limousines and SUVs and flies on, private jets all over the world. He lives very large. He's one of the biggest hypocrites that there is. And this is why I say I will start believing that these people believe what they say when they start leading by example. Right now, I don't think they believe what they say. Your Obamas, your Al Gores, your Leonardo DiCaprios, they don't believe their own words. So the mayor of Boulder, Colorado. Doesn't believe with his own rhetoric. If he did, he'd be living that way, but he doesn't. Wolfie in Campion says, I avoid Boulder like the plague. I get it. Yeah, but what I'm asking for here is what Harriet Hageman, and next time I get a chance to talk to her on here, I'm gonna bring it up. Whatever she wants to talk about, I'm going to make sure to bring this up because I do think it's a great idea. Let's go get some volunteers. I'm asking for volunteers from those people who believe that we're living in the end times because of man-made climate change. So we need about 100,000 people. Now, remember, no subsidies. We're going to pick some city, and we're going to strip that city of anything that has to do with coal, gas, and oil. Anything. Think about how much would be left. The place would pretty much just be bare. In fact, we can just go ahead and drop them in a desert somewhere and say, there you go. Okay, now you're going to have to build the town. But you can't build the town using anything with coal, gas, and oil. And for those of you who you want to go cook dinner, or the night got cold and you want to keep warm, so you're going to light a fire. Well, that's adding CO2 to the atmosphere, so no fires. Big Wave in Casper. Looking forward to seeing an Army tank on the roads in Boulder, since even electric cars have rubber tires. Yeah, I mean, if they want a bicycle to ride around on, they're going to have to make a wooden bicycle with wooden wheels. Okay, no oiling the chain. However you're going to pedal that thing. I don't know how this is going to work. So I think in this town that we just take 100,000 volunteers, and it's going to look like the Burning Man Festival. We just drop them out in the desert in the middle of nowhere. Okay, no coal, no gas, no oil, go. Now, it's not like human beings haven't done that in the past. There were times when human beings didn't use any of those things. But you remember what life was like for them, right? Yeah, and what was our life expectancy back then? We didn't live very long, did we? And, oh my God, hang on. It's kind of cool out today, right? Okay. And Miss Mary turned to me just a few moments ago and said that it's kind of cool. We have coffee here, but there's this one coffee shop that we like that makes really good coffee. I mean, better than anything we've ever made here. And she said, I'm going to go get us a couple of cups. Very nice of her to do that. To me, the temperatures outside are really nice right now. She just sent me a note as she's driving down the road. Oh, my goodness, I had to kick on the heater in my car. See, there's a difference between you and me, Mary. I was driving to work this morning with my vents open, and they were blasting on me, and it felt so good.
You can't control how good a day you're going to have, but you can control how weird a day everybody else has. Be the weirdest, most confusing, unhinged part of everybody's day.
Admit it, you were hoping somebody would say that. Glenn Woods, he talks to you, not at you. Be part of the show at 888-97-WOODS. This is Wake Up Wyoming on K2 Radio.
6:48's the time. Off we go to the Icebox. Frank Gambino's waiting by. All right, Frank, you'll have to let me know who this guy plays for. Brandon Marsh?
Haven't heard of him.
Okay. Anyway, Major League Baseball.
Okay.
There is a catch that he does. He's in the outfield.
Okay.
Big, long beard, which makes me think Boston. And someone hits a ball way out into the outfield, almost to the wall.
Okay.
From the angle that he's at, when he turns around to go catch the ball, he cannot see it, even though he's wearing dark sunglasses. Not visible. So he has his glove out like he's trying to figure out, where do I go with this? And the ball just lands in the glove.
Well, yeah, that's the outfield miracle. Hey, how did that happen?
Yeah, and he doesn't know. In fact, when one of his teammates walked over and was laughing about it, he goes, I don't know. I mean, he just had his glove out.
It happened.
It just landed there. Yeah, now, this reminded me, he was in middle school, and we were out in PE, and we were playing baseball, and my position was going to be the catcher, which I've never played before. Mm-hmm. And the guy who hit the ball in front of me hit it way up, straight up into the air. And I stood up, and I looked up, and all I saw was the sun. And I figured, well, if I can't see the ball,
the ball can't see you, right?
Yeah, it must be where the sun is. So I held my glove up to cover the sun.
Yeah.
And the ball landed right in my glove.
There
then
you go.
everybody's patting me on the back for doing such a brilliant catch. What I didn't say to everybody at the time, but I'll say now because it's so many years later.
You never saw the ball, did you?
I never saw it. I just assumed if I can't see the ball, that means the sun is in my eyes where the ball is. So I just cover the sun.
You know what? You look great doing it. You know,
I look so cool. That's why I did not tell anybody that was so much luck. But this guy was even better than that. Just holding his glove out casually, wondering what the hell he was supposed to do, and it just lands in his glove.
It's better to be lucky than good, right?
You know, sometimes it absolutely is. Now, of course, that goes. Now, the reason I say I think the guy might be for Boston, I'm probably wrong, is he's got that long beard going.
Mm-hmm.
Don't they do that?
Well, yeah, I guess like the Boston Tea Party days.
Yeah. Now, I thought as friends of mine that are Boston fans, I'm sorry, Boston. Well, they say that as they get closer toward the end of the season, they start to grow beards for luck.
Oh, that's hockey.
Oh, that's hockey. Okay.
Yeah. All right, American Legion Baseball, State AA champion Cheyenne Post 6 lost their first round game in that Northwest Regional in Billings, 3-2 to Eugene, Oregon. Sixers ran into some really, really good pitching as Eugene hurler Grady Saunders allowed 3 hits and struck out 7. He is an Oregon State signee. Cheyenne falls to 68-18. They'll be in the losers bracket and will take on Missoula, Montana at 9:30 this morning in an elimination game. Also from yesterday, Bellevue, Washington beat Missoula 3-1. Anchorage over Pocatello, Idaho 8-5, and Fort Collins defeated Billings 1-0. So in the other elimination game up in Billings, Pocatello will take on Billings, and Eugene will play Bellevue in the winners bracket, and Fort Collins will meet Anchorage also in the winners bracket. Major League Baseball, the New York Mets over the Colorado Rockies down in Denver yesterday 5-3. For the Mets, Brandon Nimmo, the Cheyenne native who's their starting left fielder, went 0 for 5. He's hitting .232 on the year. The Rockies, for the Rockies, Charlie Blackman, their leadoff hitter, went 0 for 5. So the Rockies are 42-73. And the Mets won that game with 2 runs in the 9th inning. Those two teams will play again today in Denver. At the Paris Summer Olympics, and the U.S. women's basketball team won their 59th straight Olympic game. They beat Nigeria 88-74. This USA women's program, 8 gold medals in a row. They have made the semifinal round. They'll take on Australia tomorrow. In men's track and field, what a finish in the men's 400 meters as Quincy Hall from the U.S. passed 4 guys around the turn and won. He was out of it and just blazed by all these guys. It was incredible. And he ran the 400 in 43:40. That's the 5th fastest time ever recorded in the event. It was just absolutely amazing. Also in the men's track and field, tonight will be the men's 200-meter finals, and Noah Lyles is that. He ran 20:08 in the semifinal round. Today, more track, wrestling, soccer, cycling, kayak, field hockey, diving, and more sailing. Men's kite and women's kite.
Oh, nice. I might have to look that up. Kite sailing, huh?
Whatever that is.
Yes. No, that's basically when you have the surfboard and a kite overhead. But, okay, I looked it up.
The surfboard?
Yes. I'll send you a picture. I looked it up.
Okay.
Boston Red Sox have a year-long superstition of growing beards.
Oh, okay.
Which began in the spring training of the 2012 season.
Okay.
The beards have become a bonding and a rallying point for the players and fans. But what if you're a player that has trouble growing the beard? What are you, gluing on?
Yeah, I would. Yeah,
I would think so.
You know, the hooks over your ears. You know,
something like that. You don't want to look like you're left out or anything like that. But yeah, that's a Red Sox. I will send you some kite sailing and send it on your Facebook there.
Okay.
All right, so Wake Up Wyoming. Store. .06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It's a Thursday. I swear I can see the weekend from here.
Today's show is sponsored by Elephant Flavored Toothpaste. Bringing big taste to your small brush.
I just want to know, how do you know what an elephant tastes like? Chicken? I could just serve you chicken. You wouldn't know because everything tastes like chicken. James is in Casper. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Glenn.
Yes, sir.
You did a segment on the chicken and the egg.
Yeah.
I got a comment.
Okay.
Did Adam and Eve have a belly button?
My answer to that would have to be no. And that's the only way you would know that they were Adam and Eve. They didn't need one.
Exactly. As for the green towns, like Boulder.
Yeah.
Didn't we used to call those communes?
I don't know. I guess maybe, yeah. Okay. By the way, I think Adam and Eve...
a natural thing.
Yeah. I think Adam and Eve missed out on something that the rest of us have always enjoyed, and that's sitting around on a lazy afternoon picking belly button lint. They never had to experience that. That's,
Well, they didn't have TV either, so I don't know what they'd be watching.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. And do you have something on green energy?
No, that was just a comment on the Boulder.
Oh, on the Boulder thing? I kind of wonder, let's compare that to the chicken and the egg thing for a minute here. If you want to build wind and solar, you need petroleum and coal in order to do it. So if you get rid of petroleum and coal, you can't make your wind and solar. I don't think that these folks understand this, and they're sort of stuck in a chicken and egg problem. Which comes first?
Well, some wind turbines can be made out of wood.
Sure. But in order to make it so, those are the ones I would think that pump water. What about the ones that make electricity?
Well, that's where your wire and your magnets, you get into your electromagnetic field.
Yeah.
Generating, basically, depending on how you wire it, AC power.
You see, in order to get all of that material for the wiring and the rare earth minerals for the magnets and stuff like that, you're going to need to use petroleum.
Or hand power.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah, I guess what they need to do is just come up with a pedal power bike to make their electricity because there's no other way they can do this.
Well, how are they going to oil the chain?
See? Okay, now we come across that problem, don't we? I guess these people just need to go back to the Stone Age.
Yeah.
All right, James.
Can we stone them now?
Yeah. Thanks for calling in. If you're wondering what James is talking about, I had a last hour just got a pretty good conversation going. So next time I talk to Harriet Hageman, I'm going to mention this to her. Because it was a great idea. She was doing a speaking event among her fans and followers in Jackson, Wyoming, right? And she suggested that what do we make Boulder, Colorado, which is a very liberal city in Colorado, and they're really into the whole cult of climate change thing, then let's make them do what they've demanded. We're going to get rid of anything that has to do with coal, gas, and oil. That means even the roads they drive on. No rubber tires. No computer screens. I mean, on and on it goes. You're going to get rid of all of that. And they have to power their city by wind and solar only. The problem with that is you can't make wind and solar without petroleum products and coal. So my idea is it'll look like a Burning Man festival. We take about 100,000 people that are volunteers that think that they can do this, and we just dump them out in the middle of nowhere. Go ahead and build your town and go. Just go. Do it. Prove to us that we can live, but I don't think you can. You're going to be back in the Stone Age, and we know that those people didn't live very long. All right. 888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. I got something here that has to do with voting machines in Wyoming, and there is a bit of a problem. Before I get into this story, though, for you tin hatters out there, this is your opportunity to come up with fun conspiracies before I tell you what the story is. Till then, the Tin Hat song, Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, by the way, I cracked the code. I figured out the shadow organizations and the Illuminati know that they're finally primed for world domination. And so you got black helicopters coming across the border, puppet masters for the New World Order. Be aware, There's always someone that's watching you. And still the government won't admit they fake a whole moon landing. Thought control rates, psychotronic scanning. Don't mind that. I'm protected cause I made this hat from aluminum foil. Where it had this foil line in case an alien's inclined to probe your butt or read your mind. Looks a bit peculiar. Seems a little crazy, but someday I'll prove there's a big conspiracy.
So I need you conspiracy theorists out there to help me with this one. And have fun with it, by the way. All right, so here's the headline, Cowboy State Daily. Laramie County Republicans file complaint after election equipment test. Uh-oh. And these are computer screens. Questions about the integrity of Wyoming's voting machines grew a little more pointed this week after observers say a Monday test of the Laramie County equipment was suspect. Laramie County Republican Party Chairman Taft Love Tuesday filed an official complaint with the Laramie County District Attorney targeting Laramie County's clerk about the voting machine test that was performed on Monday. Love and others believe the test produced untrustworthy results. So the complaint was also sent to the Wyoming Attorney General Bridget Hill and Secretary of State Chuck Gray and Laramie County Attorney Mark Voss. Love asserted that the public test performed Monday did not follow the state law because the tabulation machines did not use a different number of valid votes for each candidate. He believed the results show that there's not enough evidence to trust the county's voting equipment for the upcoming primary election, which is August 20th, by the way. He said, I do not believe testing of the voting system comports with the statute, thus jeopardizing the integrity of our election. Lee told Cowboy State Daily he couldn't comment on the matter because it's pending litigation. He said there's no way to tell if the machines are working or not. The errors indicate they're not, he said. Okay, so the story asked the question, what happened? On Monday, Love, Laramie County Democrat Party Chair Jordan Evans, and others were invited to watch the public test of the election equipment, which is required in every Wyoming county before the election under state law. The test includes processing a pre-audited group of paper ballots or ballot cards with a predetermined number of valid votes for each candidate in the measure. It also has ballots that aren't done correctly to test the ability of the tabulation machines to reject improper votes. As the Monday test was conducted, Love said he observed the paper ballots used to test the machines had the same number of votes for each candidate. The Wyoming statute says during these tests, a different number of valid votes should be assigned to the candidate. So it's supposed to look like what would really happen, which means the Democrats would get like 3 votes. But anyway, Laramie County GOP committeeman also said there were discrepancies between the first and second test. So when they ran it a second time, they did not get the same result. Tyrell said this never happened. After a fair election, we want to make sure that every vote counts without discrepancy. Okay, so in other words, they have some work to do between now and primary election time. Secretary of State Chuck Gray also sent a letter on Wednesday requesting that they perform a new test. So in other words, clear up your issues and get that test done because we got till the 20th to start counting these ballots.
Immorality may be fun, but it isn't fun enough to take the place of 100% virtue and 3 square meals a day.
Wake Up Wyoming goes anywhere you do with the Wake Up Wyoming app. Free download for Apple and Android. This is K2 Radio.
7:21's the time, Wake Up Wyoming. Okay, so I asked conspiracy theorists to come up with theories as to why, when the voting machines were tested in Laramie County, Wyoming, they didn't pass the test. And I like Dan and Cheyenne. Yes, aliens from space are playing games with us. I believe you. I honestly do. Let's see, Mike in Wheatland. Now, Mike is not happy Mike says, Glenn, why, and why are all in capitals, each with their own explanation point. Are we waiting until 2 weeks prior to an election to test the voting machines? Why aren't they tested 2 weeks after the previous election? This is absolutely unacceptable, and I am infuriated. Yeah, I get it. Well, I would not say, just after. I like the idea of testing them before the next election. But you're right, 2 weeks before. What if there is some kind of major malfunction? Whatever it might be, there's a major malfunction in there. My answer would be we need time to fix that. And so how about we test them July 1st, just to pick a date, right? Beginning of the first week of July, we pull all the machines out and we test them. And I wouldn't mind, just to make sure no one has been screwing with the machines, just before we actually do the election, we run another test. Just to be sure. I think that would be absolutely perfectly reasonable. So now, let's see what happens with these voting machines in Laramie County. They're on it already. They're working on it. I do like the idea. They bring in people from political parties to witness the test and judge for themselves to see if everything's going the way it should be going. And if not, then let's go ahead and get the right people in. So that's where they are right now with voting. And we do have a lot of places in Wyoming that don't need machines like that. There's communities that are so small that, you can just do a hand count because not many people live there. I mean, hell, we got communities that are like 15 people. And there's other communities where there's just a few hundred people. So again, and out of the few hundred people that live there, how many actually are voting? The kids aren't, for one, So in that case, you got to get enough people together. In fact, I just thought of something here. Let me go ahead and check if I'm able to. I bet I won't be able to find it right now. I'm going to put mayor in. Yeah, here I actually found it. A couple of years ago, the town of Franny, Wyoming. Oh, Big Wave in Casper. Chuck Gray rigged it so he has more to talk about since that seems to be his only focus. Oh, okay. No, I doubt that, but that's funny. A couple of years ago in the town of Franny, Wyoming. And it's a tiny town. There's not many people there. And so it was time to go ahead and pick who was going to be their mayor, and nobody wanted to run for mayor. Well, you can't have that. You got to have somebody for mayor, but nobody wanted to run for mayor. So eventually the parties involved here decided, okay, we're going to go ahead and basically draft a couple of people to run. So they ended up with two guys that were told, you're running for mayor, whether you like it or not. And neither of these people wanted to be mayor. In which case I started thinking, well, that's going to be, let's have these guys debate. That would be the best debate ever. It wouldn't be a don't vote for him, vote for me debate. That guy's just a jerk. He's a liar and a thief. Don't vote for him, vote for me. It'd be the opposite of that. Don't vote for me. I don't want this job. Vote for him. What would that debate sound like?
We now go to Franny, Wyoming, where two candidates have been written in on the ballot since nobody wanted to run for mayor. Neither candidate wants the job. Both of them hope that you vote for the other guy. And now, tonight's debate.
You don't want to vote for me, vote for him. I'm a horrible person.
Yeah, well, I'm horribler. You have no idea.
I never mow my lawn and am in violation of several city codes.
Well, my restaurant is in violation of several health codes, and I don't even care.
I illegally dump my trash in other people's garbage cans.
Yeah, well, I walk my dog without a leash and don't pick up his poop.
You think he's bad for doing that? I've been stealing money out of the city's petty cash.
Hell, I've been embezzling for years.
I've been trying to sleep with all your wives. Nailed a few, too.
Nah, I've been chasing all your daughters.
I kick puppies. Don't you wish all political debates were like this?
So, I had so much fun writing them, performing that. I really did. So, what happened in Franny is eventually the guys decided, fine, we'll run for mayor. Fine. And they ended up picking somebody who reluctantly became mayor. They really didn't want to. Let me see. Dan and Cheyenne. On our conspiracy theory, because I'm looking for conspiracy theories as to why the voting machines failed the test in Laramie County. He said, I think aliens are having a good laugh that we can't count spots on the ballot correctly. Yeah. Let's see. What was the other one that I had here? And this is one of the ones that I take. Here we go. That sometimes when I go into a commercial break, I play this.
Aliens are going to be super confused when they show up threatening to overthrow our leaders. And we're all stoked and offer to help.
Yeah, see, that's going to be it. Take me to your leader. Well, it depends. Are you going to take our leader from us? Please? Oh, for the love of God, would you please take our leader from us? There were some while Biden has been president, there were some cartoons out there on social media, and a spaceship lands. Take me to your leader. Now's not a good time. But again, if you plan to kidnap the guy and never bring him back, you want to experiment on him, you can go ahead and experiment on him. We're okay. And when they tell us, no, we don't want to experiment on your leader. No, please, take him away and experiment on him. We are begging you. I'd love to find out. Now, I do have a theory as to why so many, especially among the Democrats, but so many politicians are really weird. I'm going to focus on the Democrats for just a moment. I really do think they're from another planet. Here's my theory. See, they have a hive mentality, the Democrats do, whereas conservatives tend to be more individualist, and they don't like being told what to do by government officials and so on. And so the aliens, where they're from, these Democrats, they live on a planet where a hive mentality works. In other words, socialism, communism, fascism, things like that. That works on their planet. And they don't understand the idea of individualism here on Earth. They just don't get it. They're afraid of it. That's why they fight against it. Also, on their planet, CO2 is a pollutant and is destroying the planet. Now, here on Earth, CO2 is just the opposite. It gives life. We need more of it in the air and more of it in the soil. We shouldn't be trying to sequester it at all. It's good for life on this planet. So that, to me, is solid proof that these people are from another planet. When you hear, especially Vice President Harris, laugh that weird cackle, I mean, does that sound human to you? No, obviously not. Coming up on local news, after local news update on the weather forecast, you and I get back into it again. 888-97-WOODS, that's 888-97-WOOD. 7:45, Don Day comes on and talks about, and Chet and Yoder says, tell Don I said thanks for the rain, and I'll tell him that. Because that rain is also helping put out some end cool weather, put out some fires just north of you, Chet. Let's Wake Up Wyoming.
Got something to say to Glenn? Use the chat on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app and get your opinions straight to the studio with K2 Radio.
$7:36 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Okay, so Rick and Cheyenne. Glenn, AI actually stands for alien intelligence, not artificial intelligence, and I wouldn't doubt that. I can imagine that. Kenny in Kremling says maybe we should call CO2 organic fertilizer. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Tell you what, Kenny, just yesterday, since we've been having fires out here, I just yesterday wrote up an article. Fires have done some damage. Even some people lost homes and so on. But I thought, let me go ahead and write the other side of this because fires are actually really good. So let's just focus in this case on prairie fires. Because, forest fires are good for the forest. Prairie fires are very good for the prairie. And I went through all the different things that prairie fires do that are really good. And that's not just releasing, well, let's see, there's a lot of dead plants that are just in the ground, and they need to be gotten rid of so new plants can come in because the dead plants are clogging up, the area. Invasive species that can't handle a fire, that won't survive it, but things that are used to living on a prairie thrive because of fire. Potassium nitrates are released and all sorts of other things that are released by burning plants are released into the air and the soil. But also CO2. A fire releases out of both the dead and the living plants, but especially the dead ones, releases all sorts of CO2. Now, some of that carbon gets into the soil, which is good, and some gets into the air, which is also good. So releasing that CO2 through the fire is exactly what young plant, or even any plant, really needs. So we're here coughing and hacking because of the smoke. We can't stand it as humans. But the plants love that, especially the CO2 part of it. And so, yeah, it's basically airborne fertilizer. So, yeah, Kenny, we should just call CO2 organic fertilizer because it is. That's why I wrote the article, and just for a lot of reasons, to talk about why prairie fires are actually good for the prairie. Go back to those areas that burned. Delusion County had some big fires. So did Campbell County, some other areas. Go back to those areas that burned late spring next year, not early spring, late spring next year, and take a look at how green and lush those areas are. The fires have done them a lot of good, and CO2 plays a huge role in that. One quick different side note. I've been watching on the news here this morning. Have you heard about, you probably have, the Taylor Swift concert that was canceled? It was canceled because of terrorists that were threatening to bomb it, and apparently some bomb-making materials were found. Okay, to the terrorists out there, and these guys were like ISIS kind of terrorists, you know. Boy, what a big mistake that they made. Well, they just made a whole lot of Taylor Swift fans really mad. Now, I've only heard a few songs from Taylor Swift, and when I've seen a couple of her videos, you know, I'm not a follower, but what I have seen, that woman is incredibly talented. And she's worked very hard, and she's a smart businesswoman. And so she deserves to be where she is. She's reached such a massive level of success, and she's earned this. So I give her credit. I mean, she's obviously a very attractive woman and very talented and very smart. She's earned everything that she has. And so she has this tremendous worldwide following. And so some terrorists just threatened not only to bomb one of her concerts, but forget that. That's not big enough. They had to cancel 3 of her concerts. That means worldwide, Taylor Swift fans are now mad as hell at these terrorist organizations. My hope is that next time Taylor goes to have a concert somewhere, or do I call her Miss Swift? I don't know. Next time she has a concert somewhere, I'm hoping that some of the Extinction Rebellion Just Stop Oil crowd does something to disrupt one of her concerts. Then all these people that are Taylor Swift fans are going to get hyper mad at them. And that's another blow to the cult of climate change. You see what we can do? Let's get a bunch of socialists getting Taylor Swift fans mad. Because these, again, worldwide, huge following of really loyal fans. How dare you not only threaten the Taylor and her fans, but you canceled concerts? Oh, and her concerts are epic. I mean, she's not just standing on stage singing. They're shows. They're epic. You cancel. They spent all of that money, and they got refunds, and now they can't go. Oh, dear Lord. That is about the dumbest thing someone can. This is every bit as bad as during the Burning Man Festival when the Extinction Rebellion crowd tried blocking the road into Burning Man over climate change. A whole bunch of people who would normally agree and want to side with Extinction Rebellion just got mad at them. You're keeping us out of Burning Man? Just completely destroyed any following they might have had there. All right, Dawn Day's coming up. Temperatures obviously a lot cooler. Much needed rain hitting some of those prairie fires. We'll talk about that next. Wake up, Wyoming.
He's not a politician, but his pants are on fire. Could someone grab an extinguisher? Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
7:45 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to talk to Don Day from Day Weather as we welcome the first day of fall. Don. No?
Hello?
Oh, there you are. Okay, you couldn't hear me. Okay, I was just welcoming the first day of fall.
Sorry, yeah, I was trying to talk through my gloves and mittens.
Yeah, yeah, I felt that way. I mean, really, I actually have one of the shirts that I tend to wear for fall, which is not the usual tropical lightweight shirts that I wear in the middle of summer when it's 100 degrees outside. So this is a huge swing that we have here with some much needed and welcome rain over some fires.
Yeah, in fact, one volunteer rain gauge reporter, a Coco Ross volunteer, I think I saw 0.57 in the town of Guernsey yesterday and last night, and then down towards over the fire around a quarter to an inch or more of rain, and there's more on the way.
Wow.
So just what the doctor ordered.
Okay, yeah, and I bet you they were just applauding that. So how much more of this do we expect to get? The more the better.
Well, we're in a pattern here well into early next week where there's daily opportunities for showers and thunderstorms. It's going to be what we call upslop today along and east of the divide. Low clouds, light rain showers at times, a little bit of thunder, but it's actually going to be too cool for a lot of thunderstorms today in eastern Wyoming. Just rain showers off and on. I don't expect the amounts of rain to be a lot today, really anywhere, but it's going to be very moist. I mean, relative humidities in many areas right now are 100%.
Wow.
So that's going to go a long way to help out, but there's ample opportunity between now and next Wednesday for afternoon and evening thunderstorms to generate rain. We'll see as it gets a little warmer this weekend. We'll get a bit more in the way of thunderstorm activity going, and that's really going to be statewide. Yeah. So it's hard to say how much is going to fall in one particular area other than the chances are good of getting more.
I would bet that today, based on what I'm seeing, is the coolest that it's going to get when we start to warm up from here.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, today and tomorrow will be about the same.
Okay.
But when you get to these fronts like this, they can be stubborn and hang on, and it will moderate this weekend, but it's going to be a slow moderation.
Okay. See, there's absolutely no complaints there. But for those people who are thinking, okay, so we're done with summertime. No, we're not done with summertime. You're just getting a bit of a break here, and then hopefully some more of those showers. When things warm up, we stay in that rain pattern for a bit longer, I'm hoping?
Yeah, I think so. I think into next week. In fact, I think most of next week, thunderstorms will be a common feature, and they'll be good rain producers. I mean, here's case in point. When you get this subtropical moisture in Laramie overnight last night, they kind of doesn't happen very often to get a nighttime thunderstorm. Out at the Laramie airport, they got 1.5 inches of rain.
Wow.
That doesn't happen too often, but when you get that subtropical moisture in, it certainly can.
Right now in North Carolina, people in Georgia and South Carolina, you say 1.5 inches of rain, and they say amateurs. You amateurs.
Well, yeah, it's like when they get a 30-mile-per-hour wind and they go crazy. Same thing.
All right. Thank you, Don. Don Day with day weather. So, yeah, it's been a big change up that we get to enjoy for a few days. I'll have to go to the icebox. Frank Gambino waiting by. Frank, did you get a chance to watch the video?
They're all nuts.
Yes.
These people, it's like parasailing, the sail, the kite.
Yes.
They're in the water, but they're not on the water.
No. Okay, so what Frank is describing...
Oh, my God. You're all nuts.
Yes.
All of you.
Well, first thing, I showed that to Miss Mary. She said they're going to run into each other and get tangled up.
That's what I thought.
No, okay, so here's what this is. This is an Olympic event. So picture a big kite, and this is the kind of kite that, let's say, someone who is a hang glider might use. It's a big crescent moon-shaped kite. Huge. And these guys start off on what looks like a little surfboard, and they get pulled along by the kite. Then as they dig up speed, the thing has a pole underneath with wings on it, and it rises up. And it looks like they're balancing on a little pole, and the wings are underwater. So that's, kind of hydroplaning, if you will. And with that, they steer a course and race each other, and this is an Olympic sport.
And they're not going slow.
No.
They're going pretty fast.
Yeah, they are.
And there's a lot of them. I don't know how they do this.
It's fun.
And the guy was saying, if you have heavy winds, then you need like a bigger parasail.
Yeah,
and in light winds, or is it the other way around or something? There's three different kinds of...
Depends on what you want to do, because I've seen some of these guys who like to get into stunts. They like to hit the big waves and launch themselves into the air, and their feet are strapped to the board, so they'll do all sorts of flips and twists and so on.
That's probably an Olympic sport, too.
And if it isn't now, it will be at some point, because some of the tricks and stunts these guys pull. And sometimes it's fun just to watch them. They'll launch themselves into the air to see how far they can glide on the wind before they're forced to set down again.
They're nuts.
Okay. Look, hey, to each his own.
I only had to watch 10 seconds of it.
I'm watching this thinking it's something that I would love to try it even in my youth, but I doubt I would have the coordination for that. And also from the looks of it, you've got to be a pretty strong person.
They say that it's like squatting for 48 minutes because they race 4 times. They're nuts. American Legion Baseball, State AA champion Cheyenne Post 6 lost their first game in that Northwest Regional to Eugene, Oregon yesterday 3-2 in Billings. The Sixers ran into some really, really good pitching as Oregon State signee Grady Saunders allowed 3 hits and struck out 7 for Eugene. And Cheyenne falls to 68-18 overall. They will be in the losers bracket with an elimination game this morning in Billings taking on Missoula, Montana. And the other scores from yesterday was Bellevue, Washington over Missoula 3-1. Anchorage, Alaska over Pocatello, Idaho 8-5, and Fort Collins, Colorado beat the Billings 1-0. So the other elimination game today at that Northwest Regional will have Pocatello against Billings. In the winners bracket, Eugene against Bellevue, and then Anchorage will take on Fort Collins. In Major League Baseball, the Colorado Rockies lost to the New York Mets yesterday 5-3. The Mets scored 2 runs in the top of the 9th inning and hung on from there. And their starting left fielder is Cheyenne native Brandon Nimmo. He went 0 for 5 and is hitting .232 for the year. For the Rockies, Charlie Blackmon, their leadoff guy, he went 0 for 5, and the Rockies are 42-73. Those two teams will meet again today down in Denver. At the Summer Olympics in Paris, the women's basketball team for the USA wins again. They beat Nigeria 88-74. They won 59 consecutive Olympic Games. They've won the gold medal in this event 8 times in a row. They're now in the semifinal round. They'll take on Australia tomorrow. In men's track and field, Quincy Hall won the 400 meters yesterday with the gold medal that goes with it. And he was one of the most amazing comebacks in the history of Olympic track and field. He was way behind. Probably had to pass 3 guys down the stretch and won and ran the 400 in 43:40. That's the 5th fastest time ever in that event. Crazy nuts. Noah Lyles will be in the men's 200-meter finals, and he advanced to running 20.08 in the semifinals. So today, more track and field, more wrestling, more soccer, more cycling, men's kayak, men's field hockey, diving, and the men's and women's kite sailing.
Wow.
Among others.
Men's and women. Okay. I did find there is an official website, a couple of them anyway, for the Couch Potato Olympics, which I've mentioned before, with different kind of couch potato events. And
I would. The first medal you win is aluminum.
Yeah.
Like your cans. You get an aluminum medal.
Sure. And then, of course,
next one will be plastic.
Plastic, because you got to open up your bag of chips.
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. All right. We'll talk about that next.
The third one will be made of lint.
Yeah. For the belly button?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business we got to take care of. Oh, I do have another candidate. We get closer toward the primaries, more candidates are going to be coming in, and they're welcome to do so. If you're a candidate anywhere in Wyoming and you'd like to talk, you'll not just be heard in your region, but across the state, too, since we're on several stations here. So Tony Locke of House District 35 will be up in the 8 o'clock hour, 8:06, for a few minutes to talk about his campaign, what he wants to achieve. It's Wake Up Wyoming. 8:06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It's a Thursday, which means I can see the weekend from here. And sitting in the studio with me is Tony Locke. As I said, a lot of candidates. We're getting near primary time, so a lot of candidates are going to be coming in and out. And any of them is allowed, doesn't matter what they're running for, anywhere in the state of Wyoming, come into the studio and talk to us about what they would like to do if we give them that gig and elect them for the job. House District 35, Tony Locke in the studio with me. Let's start with where you're from originally.
Good morning, Glenn, and thank you for having me. And I'm actually originally from Wheatland. Okay. Grew up, born and raised in Wheatland. Went to the University of Wyoming, and then the Air Force took me away for a while. And then about 8 or 9 years ago, I was blessed to be able to come back home, and came back home here.
Okay. What did you do in the Air Force?
Wife. What's that?
What did you do in the Air Force?
I was an Air Force acquisition guy, so okay. I did acquisitions for all kinds of different programs. Kind of at the end, I ran acquisition for some black programs and had a wonderful time, did a bit of a tour of the world here and there, and had a great time.
And then back to Wheatland. So what are you doing in Wheatland now?
I'm actually here in Casper.
Oh, you're in Casper now. That's right,
Casper,
35,
that's right.
District 35. That's right, Casper.
Just over here on the east side of Casper. And now I'm a computer geek. I tell people I sit in the basement, drink too much coffee, rarely surface to actually speak to my wife. But I absolutely love being back here in the state I love.
Okay. Have you been in any political office before, or is this your first time?
Just when I won last time 2 years ago and became the House District 35 representative, that was actually my first time I was in political office. And I had just decided that, hey, there were some things going on at the state level that I was not satisfied with, and I was led to jump in and said, hey, if I don't like it, I should get involved.
Okay. So House District 35, for those who don't know, is what area? Outline it.
So over on kind of the east side of the Casper, kind of southeast corner over there. Most of it's on the outside of that, or on the east side of that outer loop, with some of it stringing across just inside there on the outer loop, but to the south of town.
To the south of town. All right. So goals. Well, let's talk about what inspired you to say, okay, I need to get in there.
So what inspired me is I came home to basically the same, what I call the conservative people that I grew up with, but I saw a government that I felt like was comfortable growing government and increasing taxes and doing those kinds of things, and I did not consider that consistent with the conservative people that I grew up with. So that's what pushed me the hardest. And to be honest with you, I'm very focused on what I would call the kitchen table issues, like when you get into that now. I mean, property tax, relief and reform. I pushed really hard. You may recall I pushed really hard on the Rocky Mountain Power rate increases last year, and we're going to do that again because they've come back and they've not only asked for another increase but sued us. So those are the kind of issues and topics that I continue to push for. It's that those kitchen tables, those things that affect Wyoming.
Okay, let's pick a couple of those big issues. So since you just mentioned the rate increase, here they come again with another one. And the reasoning is, I know part of the reason is it has to do with wind power and so on, but there's more than just that behind their reasoning.
Yeah, well, they continue to throw in the gas price increases that they have seen, but as we all know, gas prices have gone way down. Natural gas, of course, and so there's a lot of it is they're trying to basically move back to that as close to they can as to that 29.2 now. So they're pushing back, and what was interesting is they ask for that rate increase, then they turn around and sue us. Interestingly enough, now I'm a believer that hey, the minute you sued us, we should be saying rate increases are on hold until the lawsuits are settled. Yeah, that's where I stand on that, and that's what I think we as a state should do.
And don't they? And it seemed to happen last time as well. They ask for a rate increase way beyond what they know they're going to get, in the hopes that they can get negotiated down to what they actually want.
That's exactly what they do.
Okay,
and they basically. They probably haven't overtly admitted it, but basically the way they say it is that's how they kind of admit to that in their conversation in many cases. But that's exactly right. And as you saw from the case last year, we were able to mobilize enough people to really get them involved and really, and I don't want to call it putting the pressure on the Public Services Commission, but I just want to say making the Services Commission aware, and they engaged very hard to really dig deep. And what they finally found is, hey, that 29.2%, they ended up giving them 5.5. Right. So they cut it back to where it needed to be, and they did a great job of doing that.
Talking with Tony Locke, he's a candidate for House District 35. We did get some ideas for property tax relief in the last session. I know that's going to come up again because I don't think you guys are done.
No, we're definitely not done. In fact, the bills that we have out there, I think, are were, for lack of a better term, interim relief at best. What it's not is it's not a comprehensive reform and relief approach, basically. So what's out there, and many of the bills that actually are helping, so for example, House Bill 45 has put a cap on it, but quite honestly, it put a cap on our property tax at an extremely high level. Well, what is that doing for people? Yes, it stops it from skyrocketing moving forward, but think about the people who in the last 4 years their property taxes have gone up 100% or more, for example. How much is that really helping them? In addition, obviously the governor vetoed a property tax relief bill that would have helped everybody. That was taken off the table, so nobody saw relief there. And then we have some property tax relief for our seniors and then for others. But really, it's very piecemeal right now. It needs to be brought into a more comprehensive relief and reform approach that is for everyone. And so it's consistently applied. Really, our Constitution kind of requires that, and we need to do that.
Did you have a particular bill that had been suggested in mind for that, or does something need to be written?
There's been a couple of bills I thought were out there that would do that. I actually wrote a bill that was going to take us back, last year was going to take us back to 2019, then put the cap in place, and it was going to be kind of a 3% or median household income, whichever was lower, and try to set a reasonable rate on it. That being said, I would even argue that was not the perfect bill. I would argue something more along the lines of acquisition value or something along those lines would be more consistent and more appropriate to be applied. So I think there's some good options, but I think there's still some good discussion to be had.
I'm talking with Tony Lockey, who's running for House District 35 here in the state of Wyoming. Do you have a wish list or a to-do list for this next session?
For this next session, it's primarily that issue of property tax, getting that the property tax reform and relief so it's applied consistently to everyone. That's really my number one priority. Again, going back to those kitchen table issues, I can't tell you how many people have told me how property taxes are hurting them. Now, although I'm not on some of the committees that help with this, I'm hoping to work really closely with folks because I do think, and I think we've been signaled by the Public Services Commission, that there's some things we could do to give them the tools to improve how we deal with these excessive utility increases and keep those in check. So I'm hoping to work with the folks who are on those committees and those kind of things to try to work those issues as well. And then, quite honestly, the third and one of the things, probably the reason I originally jumped in, is getting our budget on more of a what I'd call a spending plan, where we're not going to allow increase just because we have the money, but government increase should be some very strong barriers. I'm a very limited government controlled spending, controlled growth guy, and I think we need to have a robust spending plan in place that says, hey, we're never going to grow more than this much. Maybe it's based on inflation and population increase or some appropriate algorithm that makes sense. And then we always need to put some portion of our excess into savings, for example. But then ultimately, my ultimate goal with this is when we are blessed by oil, gas, coal, and mineral revenue, we should be taking that opportunity to do two things, to put some of that in savings, but more importantly, to look for those opportunities to leave money in family and businesses' pockets. That's really the ultimate key. When we start doing that properly, for example, with property tax, when we've done some analysis where we could turn around, take this plan, put a spending plan in place where ultimately we could even start buying down mills at the county level and start, again, leaving some money in people's pockets. And not just the people, but in the businesses' pockets too, because we certainly don't want to put an additional burden on those core industries. Those are our bread and butter, and we love those guys.
Well, pet peeve of mine, but I want to hear what you think about this. So when we do something like, hey, let's go ahead and make a shooting range in the state of Wyoming, but that would be like $10 million from the state of Wyoming going toward a shooting range. Now, being more of the libertarian guy, I look at that and I think not the proper role of government. Do that through the private sector. But what do you think?
I'm the same way. I agree with you on that. I really don't believe it is the proper role of government doing that. I'm not one of these people that believes if you build it, they will come. Right. I believe those are private sector decisions. I think it's great when the state tries to come up with some ideas and help private industry move in those directions. But you're exactly right. When we start doing those, I often refer to those side spinning jobs as welfare for the connected. We want to be really careful about doing that. That is not the proper role of government.
Okay. So we were talking before we got on the air. I think it's one of the best things about living in the state of Wyoming. People get to meet the candidate and talk in person. So I'm asking you questions, but people can walk up to you in person and say hi. Where are you going to be that people can meet you in your district?
So I'm out knocking doors almost every day. And I love it when people come out and meet me. And plus, all of you in my district, of course, which you guys have my contact information. And I tell everyone at the door that please reach out with a phone call, email. I'm happy I go back to doors when people ask. I love that because it just lets us get to know each other better. I always tell people, we all send out postcards and flyers, and I tell people, the paper's just the paper. You got to look a person in the eye and ask the question and say, is this person sincere? Does this person have integrity?
Okay. So if they would like to get a hold of you, you got a website or social media someplace?
Yes. It's so my website is lockforwyo.com, LOCKEFORWYO.com, and then Tony at Wyoming is my Facebook, and my phone number's 307-277-9906, and I love to have people reach out to me. And I just want to say to House District 35 and all the people across Natrona County, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, the privilege to support you. And I'd really be honored to continue to support you, and thank you for your vote on August 20th. I really appreciate that.
All right. Tony Locke, thank you for coming in. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Polish off that tin hat. You'll need it for this one. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Available on demand on the Wake Up Wyoming app.
8:24 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Now that I got the guest out of the way and all this other stuff that I wanted to talk about, we can dive into the most dangerous portion of this program every single day at this time.
Warning. Wake Up Wyoming is about to enter daily open phones. This means that anyone will be allowed to call in and talk about anything. I mean, imagine if we actually allowed you on air to say anything you wanted. Scary, right? Well, we're just that brand of crazy. If you are offended by what other people think, then maybe you want to tune out right about now. Just saying. If you should choose to call, just remember, the more funny and interesting you are, the longer Glenn will keep you on the line. Obnoxious jerks will be hung up on. Dave, all right, strap in, and let's do this thing.
888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. Go off to the phones where Brent Bien, former gubernatorial candidate here in the state of Wyoming, is calling in. Morning, what you got for me, and how you been?
Hey, Glenn, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good to hear your voice again.
Hey, sir. Yeah, holy cow. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that, we're heading down to Cheyenne right now to talk some tax stuff, the ballot initiative things with Secretary of State. But I was trying to get to the line here, but, I heard earlier that you were talking, about what's going on in Laramie County. Right. And, I tell you, it's something else. We know that there's some issues that we found in several other counties around the state. So, right now we're just trying to figure out, the best course of action going forward and presenting all this to the Secretary of State.
Okay. It didn't, from reading the story, and all I have to go on is the story I read, which I know is not a whole lot. It didn't sound like the voting machine issues had a bias one way or the other for either party. It looked more like it just didn't know what it was doing.
Well, I think that's part of the problem. I think also some contractual issues, with ES&S and EAS is or EAC is the Election Assistance Committee, and that's through that's basically headquarters back east. And all of this stuff has to be squared away by the 13th day prior to the election, which was, I guess that's actually today, or yesterday, I guess. And so anyway, we've been around, we brought several folks in from out of state, Rick Weibel, some of these other folks that are actual, certified hackers. And, not that they're necessarily hacking into the machine, but they are showing that, how easy it is to get into them. But there's a lot of other items too, and it's kind of a complex issue. Bottom line is, we in this state really don't have an IT department, nor do the counties to support, the complexity of these systems.
So if they can't, and I would assume that there should be a fix for the systems, but let's say that there's not, then what do the counties do?
Well, then that's where the tricky issue is, and do they go ahead and run the election or not? And that's kind of the issue where we are right now. Is okay, what do we actually do with some of these problems we found? And that's all up in the air, right?
Okay, I think we should be, but if you're going to get a chance to talk to Chuck Gray, our Secretary of State, I would love to have an answer for this. If something went wrong with the machine in one particular district, let's just say somewhere, are they prepared just to shut that off and just go to a hand count? Because even the electronic machines have a piece of paper in the state of Wyoming, so they should be able to hand count these things if the machines aren't working.
Well, you would think so. We know that there is, say there's a power outage.
Yeah.
We know that there is an emergency procedure out there, or at least we believe there is. We don't know exactly what that is. So one thing we've been doing is we've been running some hand count demonstrations, and they're actually it's all hands on, around the state, several counties, and people are intimidated going into it. And then after 30 minutes, they're like, "Hey, this is a piece of cake." And it's what we used to do 25 years ago, and we knew who won before we went to bed.
Sure.
And we're just trying to get people comfortable with it, but I don't know all the answers to that.
Okay.
Glenn.
Well, as soon as you find out something when you're done there, please call the show back, because people would love to have some kind of an inside report there. I got to run to news time. Thanks for calling in, Brent. I appreciate it. Brent Bien, he was a former candidate for governor here in the state of Wyoming, down there to try to find out what's going on with the voting machines in Laramie County. Coming up on 8:30, local news, weather forecast, Wake Up Wyoming.
If it matters in Wyoming, it matters to Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Call Glenn at 888-97-WOODS and make your voice heard. AM 1030, K2 Radio.
8:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. So 888-97-WOODS, the phone number is, that's 888-97-WOODS. That's how you call into the show, like Brent Bien just did, or you can, like Bill in Erie just did, Rhiannon Fort Danger, so many people around the region, around the state. If you download the Wake Up Wyoming app, free at your app store, just type in Wake Up Wyoming, and there you go. And once you download that, you'll see a toolbar across the middle. You can hit the chat option and send me text messages. And I answer back by typing back to you. I text back. But also I'll talk on air about what you said, if it's something that you wanted to comment on, and I'll go ahead and answer on air. Also, real quick, while you're on that toolbar, look to the left-hand side of it. You'll see On Demand. Touch that. You'll see Wake Up Wyoming. Touch that. Then you can just select whatever episode you want. This program, which is 4 hours in the morning, is automatically condensed. So we get rid of news, sports, weather, and other special features, because it's morning drive, so there's a lot of special features, ag reports, things like this. And we get rid of those just to get to the meat of the program. And so that condenses the show by quite a bit, so it's not an entire 4-hour program. And you can listen like a podcast right off of your phone anytime you want. It's free. Start it, stop it, rewind it, pause it, share it with friends, whatever you want to do. A couple of things that I have, complete side notes. There's a file that I have of fun things that I like to play for you guys. And every so often, I purge the file. I'm about to get rid of 3 different items. So I'm going to play it one last time before I get rid of them. One of them The Tesla automobile has the ability to change different sound effects. You can change the way your horn sounds. You can change the lighting inside and outside of your car for all sorts of different features. You can even, when you walk away from a Tesla, it automatically locks. And when you walk toward the Tesla, because the key fob is in your pocket, it automatically unlocks. And, of course, there's a little tweaking sound that you're familiar with when it locks or unlocks. You can change that sound to whatever you want it to be. Sometimes people like to have fun with that.
Got a bit of a problem. Every time I walk away from my car and it locks itself, it farts, and I don't know how to turn it off. My husband and my son have done this, so if there's anyone out there who owns a Tesla who knows how to stop it from farting, will you please let me know? Here's what it does, look. Please, someone tell me how to switch this off.
Don't tell her how to switch it off. Next one, a lot of you haven't heard it. Let's go way back. Many years ago, when I first started working in radio, I needed side gigs because I was working the overnight shift. I wasn't getting many hours. I was just starting in this business. And so I would grab a job doing whatever. Retail was one of the ways. And I even worked at a Radio Shack. And just recently, I came across this very old Radio Shack commercial.
Radio Shack has a super half-price deal now on an 8-track car stereo tape player. Regularly $59.95. Now just $29.95. You save $30 and get your choice of music wherever you drive. Put stereo 8-track players in 2 cars for the regular price of 1. Or buy 1 and have enough money left over for car speakers and your first tape. Get on the road to savings now with this sale-priced realistic 8-track car stereo tape player. Only at Radio Shack, a Tandy company.
Yeah, see, Radio Shack, back when they thought the 8-track tape player was going to be a big thing, and you can get them for your car. By the way, for those people who make fun of 8-track because they didn't last long, you should have invested in them. That same cart, which was not 8-track but just a stereo cart, was used by radio stations for decades. So you would have made a lot of money. What they did was they had carts that would be anywhere from 10 seconds to 10 minutes. And because we could easily erase them and re-record on them, radio stations put music and commercials and all sorts of other things on there. We had these big spinning cart racks and cart machines. And that's how disc jockeys would play everything for you. Okay, one last one that's going to go into the garbage heap. There's many of you out there who are ranchers, who are used to herding cattle. And just recently around the Chugwater area, some friends of mine allowed me to go out and watch an old-fashioned Wyoming-style branding. They had to go herd the cattle in, and I got to watch how it was traditionally done way back when, which they still do to these days, but to this day. But these guys who herd cattle, they have it easy compared to the cat herders.
Man right here is my great-grandfather. He's the first cat herder in our family.
Herding cats. Don't let anybody tell you it's easy.
Anybody can herd cattle. Holding together 10,000 half-wild short hairs, well, that's another thing altogether.
Being a cat herder is probably about the toughest thing I think I've ever done.
I got this one this morning right here, and if you look at his face, it's just ripped to shreds, you know.
You see the movies, you hear the stories. I'm living a dream. Not everyone can do what we do.
I wouldn't do nothing else.
It ain't an easy job, but when you bring a herd into town and you ain't lost a one of them, ain't a feeling like it in the world.
So those are all going into the dumpster right now. Here I go. Drop them in. Boom, done. Shelley and Mills. Morning. Do your listeners even know what a Radio Shack is? Yeah. Well, and there's the thing. There was a time when, back in the analog days of radio, but also music in general, when you had stereos at home and TV sound systems that were all analog, and also radio systems for your car, walkie-talkies, stuff like that. Radio Shack was a big deal because analog equipment takes a lot of parts, wiring and fuses and et cetera, et cetera. So Radio Shack was necessary. And the little while that I did work at a Radio Shack in my youth What I hated when it was time to do inventory because there were so many parts. Now, today, the best I can compare to for a Radio Shack is, for those who have ever been to the mall in Casper, Wyoming, they have a Best Buy. That's like a Radio Shack. If you go to a Walmart and you go to their electronics section, that looks like sort of what a modern-day Radio Shack is. Although Radio Shack, there weren't any computers back then. Everything was analog. Today, the Radio Shack company pretty much doesn't exist. There is, and I want to say Rawlins, there is a store that has a section of their store is still a Radio Shack store. But mostly what Radio Shack is, it's online. You can go ahead and look it up online. They still exist online. I don't know why, who would ever buy from them anymore. When you take a look at what they have online, you don't need it. Not in today's world anyway. So, and here's a side note with the Radio Shack, Shelley, just so you know. Many years ago, I was working in Tampa Bay on a small talk radio network. And a salesperson came up to me and said, hey, we just need you to do this line as a tagline for a Radio Shack commercial. Oh, okay. And I thought it was just because our network also had a local station too. And so I thought it was just for that. And so I leaned into the mic and all I had to say was, Radio Shack, you got questions. We got answers. That's all I did. Just Radio Shack, you got questions? We got answers. I said that several times, let him pick the favorite one, and he put it on there. Sometime later, I was in a completely different state, driving at night, and listening to a radio commercial that had nothing to do with the network I was on. It turned out that little tagline was being used nationally for all the Radio Shack commercials, and I didn't know about that until one day, why am I all over the country? That was it. That was my big national claim to fame. And I never heard anything about it ever since. I think they ran that commercial for just a few months, and then they moved on to other things after that. But, yeah, for just a little while there, every radio commercial that was Radio Shack in the country, I was the tagline for that. Not sure how that worked. 8:45, Wake Up Wyoming.
News and weather together at the top and bottom of every hour. This is Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
8:48 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to the icebox. Frank Gambino is waiting by. So, Frank, over the past few weeks, I've been having some fun making up couch potato Olympic events. And then I find out there actually is a fun online thing that people can do for the couch potato Olympics.
Okay, do you have anything better to do with your life?
No.
You don't?
Do you?
Yes.
Like what?
Find my keys.
Oh, okay. You lost your keys.
That is more important than anything on the couch. As a matter of fact, my keys may be in the couch.
They may actually. Have you actually lost your keys?
Well, I can't find them right now.
Okay. All right. They'll turn up somewhere.
Well, I'm sure they will.
Okay.
I got here.
Okay. Let me see. Events include power snacking.
Power, is that like just taking the whole bag and going on?
Yes. It basically, you take like a bag of chips and dip and you just pound it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I've talked about this one. I made it up myself, but it's you must do things during television commercials and get back to your seat before the commercials are over. That's
boy, that could be a photo finish.
Yeah. Now, women are better at this next one than men. Figure sitting.
Figure sitting.
Yeah, you know how women sit in weird positions.
Yeah, but
right?
they're not going to do a triple Lutz on the recliner,
basically
are they?
This, yeah. Okay. Let's see. The lounge lunge, that's jumping into your seat. That's pretty good. Okay.
Without breaking it.
Yeah. Oh. Speed surfing. How to speed surf the television channels.
Can you even do that anymore?
Well, I don't think so, because we don't go through channels the way we used to.
No. It used to be
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Some of the others here are no. Forget those. No. I think most of the suggestions that they came up with are the ones that I come up with. I want to know where I can go to actually compete in one of these.
So this applies to the Summer Olympics and the Winter Olympics.
And the Winter Olympics both. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I would also say how to nap but still pay attention to the program. You know, when someone comes in, you're napping, but someone comes in and picks up the remote and you wake up even though they haven't done anything yet because they touched the remote.
Yeah.
That's a skill.
Okay. I'll buy that one too. American Legion Baseball and the Cheyenne Post 6 Sixers, the state AA champions, will be in action this morning again at 9:30 in the losers bracket and that Northwest Regional in Billings, Montana. They lost yesterday to Eugene, Oregon, 3-2, and the Sixers ran into some really red-hot pitching. Grady Saunders of Eugene allowed just 3 hits and struck out 7, and he is going to continue his baseball career at Oregon State. So Cheyenne falls to 68-18 on the year, and they had a 2-0 lead in that game. So this is now or never for them, as they won this tournament a year ago and advanced to the Legion World Series in Shelby, North Carolina. So it's Cheyenne against Missoula at 9:30 this morning up in Billings. Missoula yesterday lost to Bellevue, Washington 3-1. Anchorage, Alaska over Pocatello, Idaho 8-5. And Fort Collins, Colorado, who is managed by former Cheyenne manager Tag Lane, they beat Billings 1-0. So today in a loser-out game, the Pocatello will take on the Billings Scarlets, Eugene and Bellevue in a winner's bracket game, and it'll be Fort Collins against Anchorage, Alaska, and that tournament runs the rest of the week. Major League Baseball, the Colorado Rockies will take on the New York Mets again today in Denver. The Mets beat the Rockies last night 5-3. Mets left fielder Brandon Nimmo 0-for-5 in that game. He's hitting just .232. And for the Rockies, Charlie Blackmon, their leadoff guy, went 0-for-5. And the Rockies are 42-73. And the Mets won that game with 2 runs in the top of the 9th inning. And the Paris Olympic Games continue today. And yesterday, the U.S. women's basketball team won their 59th consecutive Olympic game. They beat Nigeria 88-74. They won the gold medal eight times in a row. And in men's track and field, what a performance by Quincy Hall of the U.S. to win the gold medal in the 400. He raced by 3 guys down the stretch in that deal. It was amazing. It was like divine intervention or something. It was crazy. He ran 43:40. That's the 5th fastest time ever in that event. Noah Lyles will be in the 200-meter finals for the U.S. In the semifinals, he finished 2nd with a time of 20.08. Today we'll have more track and field, more wrestling, more soccer, more cycling, more kayak, more field hockey for the men, more diving, and sailing, that men's kite and women's kite event.
What do they do in the kayak thing? Is that just like a straight race down a track?
Well, no, right down the water. Did they figure it out? And there's, 500 meters, 1,000 meters, 1,500 meters.
Any rapids in this?
It's
like pool water.
Yeah, because kayak will be different from like the regular rowing event.
Yes. I would think it would be. So, okay, I'd like to see how they do that. Yeah.
You know what? My guess would be it is, because I remember seeing it at the Atlanta Olympics.
Right.
They literally built a rapid course.
Yeah, see, if you're going to properly kayak, you have to have some rapids in there.
Yeah.
That's the only way to
really do it. And they built it.
Wow. I can't believe it. All right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business, we got to take care of news time after that. National, local. Update on your weather forecast. Open phones. Wake Up Wyoming.
Or.
Six the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It's a Thursday, and I swear I can see the weekend from here.
Today's show is sponsored by Pre-Stained Carpet. Never worry about stains again. Now available in My Dog Got Into My Taco Bell.
And blood stains. I won't ask why.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave. Just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave.
888-97 Woods is the phone number. Off we go to Laramie to talk to Mike. Morning, Mike. What you got for me? Wait, is he there? Hang on a second, Mike. Hang on. There you go. Now I got you, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah. I did a little more digging. That program's been around for 15 to 20 years because I found an old brochure from them from about 15, 20 years ago asking if I wanted to do the same thing, increase my electric bill and get all my electricity from wind and solar.
Okay. So he's talking about the Blue Skies program, for those who don't know, that you got something in your mail for that, right?
Yeah, well, a little more digging here. The program is available in Montana and Utah as well. And the brochure mentioned that 138,000 people have signed up for the program since it began. So we now know that there were 138,000 virtue signaling climate cultists in the three-state region.
Yeah. Or people who they thought it sounded like a great idea, but they really have no idea what they're talking about.
Right.
So, okay, so for those people who don't know, they didn't hear your call the other day. So this program is supposed to be that I can get a certain amount of electricity from things like wind and solar, as if they can go ahead and color code all of the different little, whatever that's running through my electricity lines there.
Yeah, for an increase in your electric bill.
Yeah, for an increase in my electric bill. Yeah.
What I was thinking, though, I think I should demand equal time.
Okay.
If they have a Blue Skies program, why can't I have a Black Skies program?
Sure.
All my electricity comes from coal and natural gas.
Absolutely, yeah. And for that matter, I really object when people say Blue Skies, program, and they think of coal. You've seen the commercials. They show a commercial or against coal, and they have to get the sun on the other side of the steam, which is what that is these days. That's steam, and they make it look black. And they claim that it has all sorts of horrible properties that's killing us, none of which is true. Now, if you go to China, that would be true. But no, you've seen what comes out of our stacks here in Wyoming. That's just white steam.
If there's anything coming out, for that matter.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, there is on the 17th of August, Glenn, you've got to go down to Sinclair, Wyoming to participate in their big festival.
Yeah.
They're celebrating 100 years of operation of the Sinclair oil refinery.
Right, okay.
Now, isn't that sweet?
That is sweet. When are they holding this?
August 17th. It's a Saturday.
I might have to attend that. That just sounds fantastic. Yeah.
It's been advertised on KOWB, but I think that's just ironic. 100 years of Sinclair oil refining. And they're going to have a huge party and parade.
Wow. Okay. You ever get gas at the gas station right next to Sinclair in the town of Sinclair?
No.
They have a big gas station there. It's a truck stop. And it's a Sinclair truck stop, too. It's a very nice shop. And I've often wondered, since the refinery's right there, two things I've wondered. First off, do they just pipe in or do they have to drive a truck over? Because the refinery's right there. And then also, why isn't that the cheapest gas around? Because it comes right out of the refinery right to your vehicle. It should be really inexpensive.
Yeah, it should be. But like I said, it's an event you might consider going to and see,
Yeah.
It's almost like a slap in the eye of the cult of climate change.
Yeah,
we're going to celebrate an oil refinery.
That's exactly why I want to go. And can we have a party like that for coal? All right. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and look up that event. All right. In the meantime, it is open phones. 888-97-WOODS is the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. So we go from Laramie and we go on over to Mills, Wyoming, where Judy's hanging by. Hey, Jude.
Hey, I've talked to you in about a week and a half.
Yeah.
I've been doing some research on the wind and solar in this state. Okay, now I've found some new numbers.
Okay.
And coal is 3.2 cents per kilowatt hour.
Okay.
It's 170% higher, wrong one. Yeah, coal 3.2 kilowatts per hour. Natural gas is 6.5. And wind is, 770 or 7.7 to 8.50 per kilowatt hours.
Right.
So wind is still more expensive. Solar is 11.4.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I bring this up is because everybody forgot about this, and I need to remind them. That first time that Rocky Mountain Power came to us for a raise, they'd already gotten a 7% raise that July in 23.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then they came back in 24 and got a 16% raise. Now they want a 14% raise. So they're hiking our stuff 37%, and it's to pay for their solar and wind farms is what it's doing, because I just read an article out of, I think it was West Virginia, that they're going to hike the rates on those guys down there to pay for the solar and wind farms. So our guys would be no different.
Right.
Now, the point I want to make is what we need to do is we need to pull the subsidies on all of these. And we need a law stopping officials from investing into projects and land deals because they have insider information on where these farms are wanting to be, right?
Right.
They shouldn't be allowed to invest in them as officials because they got inside information.
Right. Well, and also
Now,
the government goes ahead, and especially the federal government, but states do it too, and they demand that power companies put up a certain percentage of wind and solar. And then the politicians go ahead and invest in those wind and solar companies and provide them subsidies. So you see how they're enriching themselves.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely. And I think the guiltiest party of all this is like Barrasso and Hendry and Peter Nicolason and Eric Barlow and Landon Brown and, God, what's his name? Krego, I think, Overmuller. We've got a lot of dirty politicians, and that's why they're doing this with the voting thing, too, right now, is we're finding out that these dirty politicians are getting in, not quite like they should be getting voted in. Because I know a couple of them that I know for sure people don't like, but yet they kept winning races.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm all for going back to the ballot counting by hand and kick these machines to the curb. So I hope they do some good down there.
Okay. Well, I
And
put
then
a
on
note
that-
out to Secretary of State Chuck Gray, invite him on the program to explain the whole thing.
Oh, good. And then back when Tony was on a little while ago, that House bill, I think it was 203, it would have gave a break to homeowners, but not if you'd had a second home or a business. So they would have hiked the price or the taxes on the second house and the business. That's why it was a bad bill to begin with in my eyes.
All right.
You know, I mean, some of us have two houses, some of us have two houses and a business. So why would we want higher taxes for that?
Right.
So anyway, that's a week and a half of what I'm catching up with. We've got to stop these wind and solar farms. They're eating up our good agricultural land, and they're hiking our prices on energy like nobody's business. I hope that's the first thing Trump does when he goes to office, is kill the subsidies on all of this crap, from carbon credits to carbon capture to wind and solar.
All right. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Your donations keep us going, so go borrow some money from Mom and send it our way.
Glenn Woods. He talks to you, not at you. Be part of the show at 888-97-WOODS. This is Wake Up Wyoming on K2 Radio.
9:21's the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. You can still get in, 888-97-WOODS. That's 888-97-WOODS. Talk about what I'm talking about or change the subject. For those who missed it, and this goes right along with what our last two callers were talking about. You missed the 6 o'clock hour this morning. By the way, if you ever miss any of the show, even part of it, the show becomes a podcast when I get off the air. So you go to the Wake Up Wyoming app, free at your app store, touch on demand, touch Wake Up Wyoming, select your episode, listen right there. Stop it, start it, pause it. It's condensed to get rid of commercials and news and things like that so you can get right to the meat of it. And you can listen for free anytime you want after the show is done. Okay, so your representative for Wyoming, Harriet Hageman, she was talking to some supporters in Jackson. And yes, there are supporters in Jackson. They're not all leftist liberal over there. And she was picking on Colorado. One town, particularly in Colorado, but she was picking on this Colorado town of about 100,000 people. And she was saying, let's go ahead and we'll just turn off everything that's natural gas or coal or oil, anything like that. This is Boulder, Colorado, she was talking about. And we'll take it all from them. This means they can't even have paved roads, no cars, nothing like that. If they want to go all wind and solar, and my argument when I talk to her about this, and I will at some point, my argument to her is going to be they can't even have wind and solar Because if you look into how wind and solar is created, especially solar, to create solar power, you have to have petroleum and coal goes into making those solar panels. Without petroleum and coal, you can't make solar panels. Even wind turbines, in order to make everything in a wind turbine, you're going to have to use petroleum products to create what creates a wind turbine. So they're not going to have anything left. But she said since these people want to go what they call all green and so on, she said, let's get rid of all of that. Let's get rid of anything that's petroleum, natural gas, or oil. And let's see them live that way. Let's see them, make them put their money where their mouth is in Boulder. Now, Wildfire went down and interviewed the mayor of Boulder, who starts to backtrack. Well, we didn't say that. We didn't say that you had to get rid of all petroleum. Yes, you did. You did. This is one of those keep it in the ground kind of towns. They want all coal, gas, and oil kept in the ground. Well, if that's the way you want, my thought would be let's grab everybody there that agrees with this. We'll take 100,000 volunteers, because that's about the size of the town of Boulder. 100,000 people who agree, you know, the Just Stop Oil and the Extinction Rebellion crowd. And we're going to bring them off to some place. They can pick a mountain town. We can put them out in the desert somewhere, wherever they want to go. Some place where there's no other people and there's nothing there. And we're going to drop them there. And we're going to say to them, okay, start your town. But you're not allowed to use any coal, gas, or oil. And in fact, I would even say, when they get ready to cook their food, sorry, you can't start a fire. No fires. Because you're adding pollutants to the air, like CO2. So you can't do that. Sorry, no fires. So you're going to go, this is taking them back to the Stone Age. We're going to make them live by their own rhetoric. See, I'm taking it even farther than Harriet Hageman had taken it. I'm taking it much farther than that. I'm going to make you people, you extremists, live by your rhetoric. You go do that. Let's see, they want organic farming? Okay. There was a time before human beings ever created any kind of chemicals for herbicides, pesticides, things like that. There was a time when human beings did farm right next to their house. But as you know, they had to grow an extraordinarily large amount of food just to get a little bit of food. Because so much of the food died for many different reasons, which is why, in part, we created herbicides and pesticides. And that means if they want to irrigate, part of what they're going to have to do is carry water. If they can't find a way to, if there's a river nearby, great, use it. But in many cases, they're going to have to irrigate by carrying water. They're really going to hate this. They really are. And if you remember going back to the time when human beings lived like this, how long did we live? Life expectancy of a human being was not very long compared to today. With the use of coal, gas, and oil, not just for everything that we do for heating, for traveling, et cetera, but even for medicines, hospitalization, stuff like that, human beings have more than doubled their lifespan. More than doubled their lifespan. And that's because we use, in large part, petroleum products, but natural gas and coal as well. This is where all of this stuff has gotten us. So for those people who, we're destroying the planet, we're causing catastrophic climate change and all that. Well, that's not true. But if you really believe that, I'm with Harriet Hageman on this. Let's make them live it. Because if you're not willing to really do it, then you're just being a hypocrite. And that goes to the same thing. There's an article that shows that there's a bit of an uptick in the number of electric cars driving around Wyoming. And I've always said, if someone wants to buy an electric car, buy them. Overall electric car market is not doing very well. But we've added a few extra ones here in the state of Wyoming. For those people who want them, buy them if that's what you want. What I ask is no tax breaks or no subsidies, because when I buy the internal combustion engine, I don't get those privileges. You guys do, though. No tax breaks or subsidies. You have to own it just like everybody else. But then also, let's not be hypocritical about it, because if you're charging your electric car, especially here in Wyoming, you're driving a coal-powered car. So if you want to own one, absolutely. I just don't want you to be hypocritical about it. Can we agree on that? You want to go right ahead and admit that you're supporting the coal industry by driving that electric car in the state of Wyoming. Absolutely. Please do support our coal industry. We appreciate you here in Wyoming for driving coal. I still like driving gasoline. Some people like to drive diesel. You like driving coal. If that's what makes you happy, go for it. Coming up on some local news that we have to take care of, and we're going to get into the weather forecast. Artie's over there in Casper. Judy for governor, she is my hero. After we get through news and weather, it's back to open phone. So 888-97 Woods, your phone number, 888-97-WOODS. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Storm. Covering world-ending catastrophes for years to come. It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Find content, chat live, and listen on demand on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app.
9:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. All right, 888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. Tony Kyle in Cheyenne. Love it, Glenn. Yep, agree with your Boulder plan. Actually, it's to be fair, it's Harriet Hageman's Boulder plan, but I love this idea, and I'm just going to beat on this for a little while longer here. I am a firm believer that a lot of people virtue signal things. They say things that they really, and they even make money off of things, and they're not serious at all. And they'll get mad if you call them out. That's why I say the people of Boulder, Colorado, who want to only get energy, they've said, from wind and solar. Let's let them live that way. If that's what they really want, let's let them do it. But when we tell them to do that, oh my God, Miss Mary's over-caffeinated. Colby just handed me another cup of coffee. Oh, great. Miss Mary's definitely over-caffeinated this month. We've been sipping on some really good coffees. Okay, so here's what I would like to do, not just for those hypocrites, but I would like to beat on them a little bit more. Obama, Joe Biden and family, and let's go to Al Gore, Leonardo DiCaprio, and we can name quite a few other people too. Oh, since I was talking about her earlier today, Taylor Swift, let's name some other people who are Hollywood actors and so on, who are big time into the whole cult of climate change thing, and yet we know how they live. Big mansions, multiple mansions, even homes on the coastlines that they say are going to be underwater soon because of rising tides, but they buy a home right on the ocean. Driving around in limousines and SUVs. Okay. But don't you dare tell them that they're being hypocritical about this. And my answer to them is, so you don't believe what you're saying then? If you believe what you were saying, that we are destroying the planet with our huge carbon footprint, then you would change your ways. Now, Al Gore has answered this. Al Gore has been confronted with this. And his answer is, well, I have the lowest carbon footprint out there, because he buys into this whole idea of buying carbon credits. Now, if you're wondering where your carbon credit goes if you buy into that stuff, it's supposed to go toward planting trees, which it often doesn't. It's also supposed to go into what they call green energy projects to make the earth more green, you know, by more wind and solar and other such projects to lower our carbon footprint. And oftentimes that money doesn't. If you look at where money goes for carbon credits, it's a massive scam that people have gotten rich off of, by the way. Like Al Gore, it is a massive scam. That's not helping anything. But my answer to that was, forget your carbon credit nonsense, because you still want to fly around in your big corporate jets and live in your big mansions and ride around in your SUVs, which if you're successful like that and you've earned the money legitimately, I'm all in favor of it. Live that lifestyle. That's why when I look at Taylor Swift, she is successful for a good reason. That is a self-made woman. She deserves that success. She is talented and a good businesswoman, and that's why she's so successful. And she deserves that. So live that style if that's what you want to do. But don't be hypocritical about it, because if you're going to say that we need to reduce our carbon footprints, buying a bunch of carbon credits is just nonsense. I'm saying nonsense. I want to use a different word, but I can't use those words on the radio. You know what I mean. Big steaming piles of buffalo chips. How about that? Let's see you live it. And this is the way I like to confront, and I've met people before who claim to be into the whole climate change thing, and I just point out to them, rather than arguing every little thing with them, I know, I quit. I just point to the vehicle they're driving. And how come you're still driving that? If you believe what you're telling me, why are you still driving that? If you believe what you're telling me, why do you still live in such a big house like that? In fact, some of you that have talked to me about, you need to believe because you're a denier, Glenn. You're someone who not only drives around in big vehicles, you own more than one home. And look at all the electricity you use in these homes with all the toys you have inside your house. I don't believe you. I don't believe that you believe yourself. So the day that your Leonardo DiCaprios and your Taylor Swifts and your Bidens and your Al Gores, the day that those people give it all up and they start living in micro homes and walking everywhere, I'll let them have a bicycle, even though the tires are made of petroleum. The day that they start living like that is the day that I'm still not going to agree with them, but at least I can say, well, they're not being hypocritical anymore. They're actually living what they say they believe. And until then, I have no reason whatsoever to believe anything that they say, because they don't believe what they say. And I would argue with you that most of the American people don't agree with what they say. Because look at how most of the American people live or want to live. Some people may even vote that way, but how many people live that way? Morning, DJ. GJ's up in Gillette. The Green Project is their pockets full of green. You are absolutely correct. They won't give it up, not just because hypocritical and so on, but also it gives them money and power. That's one of the reasons why I say the cult of climate change. I've been saying that for a very long time. The cult of climate change. Cult leaders live big, while all of their followers starve. All of their followers have to sacrifice everything so they can live large, those cult leaders. That's why I call it the cult of climate change.
4 simple steps to being an adult. Pay your bills. If you got it, you probably needed it. So if you don't pay it, you're going to lose it. So pay your bills. Only keep a few close friends. Most are after to get what they need out of you, and once they do, they're gone. Always wear deodorant. You don't want to be the stinky guy or stinky girl in the elevator. Don't smoke meth. You follow all these, you'll do just fine.
Hard work, work. Hard work. That's what...
The only show broadcasting from a bunker under Devil's Tower. Hey, it's cold down here.
Because when people
Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods, 6 a.m. weekdays on AM 1030 and FM 95.1.
FeedingAmerica.org/act now. FeedingAmerica.org/act now. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
.49 is the time. Let's Wake Up Wyoming. Off to the icebox we go. Frank Gambino's waiting by. Frank, choices for you here. Hilarious original yard signs or Massachusetts man cash reward for his wallet swapped by a seagull.
I'll take the first one.
The first one. Okay. Hilarious yard signs are always good. Here's a yard sale sign. Our crap could be your crap.
Yes.
I think that I greatly approve of that. Bring back my wheelbarrow. That's a sign in someone's yard.
Bring back your wheelbarrow.
I guess it was stolen.
Okay.
Then the next day he had a sign up, thank you for bringing back my wheelbarrow. So I guess somebody listened to him.
Well, all right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. You are what you eat, so I am pizza.
Yes.
See, I like it when people put stuff like. I love this one though. It's one of my favorite signs. This one is actually a small sign that goes in someone's flower bed, so you have to walk all the way up to the thing to read it, and it says, "This is a private sign. Do not read." Yeah. Yeah. Marauding sheep will be your fate if you don't close this gate.
Aha.
Oh, so he's got sheep.
Yes.
Okay. Attention dog walkers, pick up after your dogs. Thank you. Attention dogs, grr, bark, woof, woof, woof. Good dog.
Good doggy.
Yeah. Okay. I think dogs understand.
Yes.
Here's a sign at a zoo. Caution, lions are dangerous.
They are.
Yeah, okay. Let me see here. Drive like bunny. Oh, yeah. Drive like bunnies live here. I don't know what that means, but.
Slowly and carefully?
Yeah. In front of a park, please do not climb or hang from the artwork. Thank you.
No, please don't do that.
I like this one. This is at a church. Thou shalt not park here.
Thou shalt.
Yes.
Not park here.
Not park here. Well, it's okay.
Yeah.
And let's see here. Law and Order Special Grass Unit. Lawn. I get it.
Law and Order, yeah.
Yes,
it's
Lawn and Order. It's Lawn and Order, and that's for a company that does people's grass. Oh, what a clever name! I appreciate that. No, that's they stick that in someone's sign, they're going to get or yard, they're going to get business.
Oh, indeed. American Legion baseball, Cheyenne Post 6, the Wyoming AA state champions in action as we speak. Then Billings, Montana, at that Northwest Regional, they're taking on Missoula, Montana. Now, yesterday the Sixers lost to Eugene, Oregon in the first round, 3-2, which put them in the losers bracket. And Cheyenne ran into some red hot pitching as Oregon State signee Grady Saunders allowed 3 hits and struck out 7. Cheyenne is 68-18, so they need to win today to stay alive for tomorrow. And yet, also in yesterday's games, Bellevue, Washington beat Missoula 3-1. Anchorage over Pocatello 8-5, and Fort Collins, with former Cheyenne manager Tag Lane running that FOCO team, beat the Billings Scarlets 1-0. So today in a loser-out game, Pocatello against Billings, Eugene and Bellevue in the winners bracket, Anchorage and Fort Collins in the winners bracket. Major League Baseball, the Colorado Rockies take on the New York Mets again today down in Denver. Yesterday, the Mets beat the Rockies 5-3. Mets left fielder and Cheyenne native Brandon Nimmo 0-5 in the game. He's hitting .232 for the year. And the Rockies leadoff guy, Charlie Blackmon, 0-5. The Rockies are 42-73 on the year. At the Paris Summer Olympics, it rolls along in women's basketball. And the U.S. won their 59th consecutive Olympic game. They beat Nigeria 88-74. They'll be in the semifinals tomorrow against Australia. In the men's 400-meter dash and track and field, what a performance by Quincy Hall, who trailed immensely heading into the final turn and passed 3 guys on his way to the gold medal and ran that in 43:40. Incredible. Noah Lyles will be in the 200-meter finals later today. He ran 20:08 in the 200 in the semifinals to finish second. So today we got track, we got wrestling, we got soccer, we got cycling, we got men's kayak, we have men's field hockey, we have diving and sailing, the men's kite and the women's kite finals. And that's it in sports.
Another yard sign, divorce, yard sale, hurry before the wife comes home.
Yes. I saw a business sign. This is actually in Sanibel, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah.
She sells seashells.
By the seashore. I know that store. Yeah. No parking, private property, trespassers will be violated.
Oh, well, that's nice.
It's okay.
I like the seashell lady better than this. Oh,
yeah. No, that store has been around since I was a kid. It was devastated by the hurricane, but they are rebuilding. Oh, here's a sign that looks like it's a politician sign around this time of year. Mm-hmm. Dan Patton, not running for anything. I just wanted a sign.
Okay, there you go.
See, I like this guy.
That one I like.
Have a good day, Frank. Coming up on some local business we have to take care of. We're going to roll into news time after that. It's Wake Up Wyoming.